Hi everyone. Today we are going to look at Liquibase, where we are going to do versioning for the database changes. We might be having a lot of changes while executing the project, and we don't want to run all the database changes at once. We want to run it as it requires, and if requires, we want to roll back the changes as well. So how are we going to do it? Using the Liquibase, we can achieve all of these. So this is the Liquibase official site. Let's download the Liquibase. I have already downloaded the Liquibase and copied to a folder. And here is the Liquibase which I copied. So this is a zip file and I extracted it. It contains examples, internal, library, license, everything. Liquibase has both open source and the pro version and the enterprise version. The one which we are going to cover is a open source. We are not going to cover any of the pro or enterprise related, but we will be covering basics of Liquibase to create the change, to execute the changes, to roll back the changes, look at the history, tagging them. So first of all, let's check how Liquibase works. Let's open Liquibase in the command line. This is the command line. I opened it. So when I type Liquibase, it triggers the liquibase.bat file. So when I hit it, here is the help. These are all the commands that it supports. So checksums, change logs, execute, drop all, diff, flows, histories, initializations, lot. We are not going to cover each and everything. We are going to cover basics. So let me go back to one parent folder and clear the screen. And let's execute that one. So in order to execute it, Liquibase / Liquibase. Now I'm expecting help. I got all the help. Now as part of it, first I need to initialize it. So I want to initialize the project, and init is the command and project is the sub command, and hit enter. And it gives that one what needs to be created. Here we have Liquibase properties, profile, sample changelog, everything that can be created with the defaults. If I say yes, here we are not going to cover anything about the flow files. Flow files used for the continuous integration, but we don't want in our cases. So I'm going with customization. So I'm entering C. So it is asking for the where it's supposed to be created. I'm saying that it has to create in a demo folder, and it's asking for the changelog name. I'm saying demo changelog. And here there are multiple options. We can create the changelog using SQL, XML, JSON, YAML, all these varieties. But let's start with SQL, which is a simple one to understand, and then we'll look at the XML and the YAML file. Of course, it will be the same for the JSON as well. So we'll be looking at 2 or 3 formats for now. So I'm going with SQL itself. And it's asking for the Liquibase properties. So I'm going to use the exactly the same as the Liquibase properties. And here I want to create as a H2 database because it would be easier for us. So I am giving the same one. Here the H2 database will be initialized in memory. So I'm using the same thing, and username, password, I'm using the default ones. If we go to our directory, demo directory, it has created a lot of files, the flow files, everything. But we don't want any of those things. We need the demo changelog and the liquidation properties, and these things can be ignored. So in order to make these changes easy, I'm opening in a Visual Studio Code as an editor. I opened everything. Trust the others, close all of them. And as part of the liquidation properties, here we have the changelog file, main changelog, and the database connectivity details, username, password. And here we have the reference URL for the database to refer and to compare, username, passwords. And here we can set the logging level as well. If you want to set the log level, we can set the log level. So for now, as we are doing it, you can enable it. So I'm setting it as all. So if we want to keep that one in a log file, we can keep it. For now, I want to leave it. And if we have a Liquibase Pro version, then we need to enter the license key. Right now, we are not using any of the Pro versions. So let's leave it. Now let's look at the changelog. As part of the changelog, we created in a SQL format. So SQL format has two lines that needs to be added at the first. One is the change set, that is the standard keyword, followed by a name and the version. And if you want to keep any labels, labels and the context. And the second one is the comment. We can enter the comment here. So these are the default ones. We'll modify them. First, let's see the commands, how it works. So regarding the profiles, as I mentioned, we can ignore it. You can see that one, it will use it for the CI. It means continuous integration. So for now, we can ignore these. So let's go back to our command line. And here we need to start the H2 database. Start our H2 database. So for that, we need to use the liquibase.properties wherever exactly it is there, because that's where our H2 database URL has been configured. So H2 database URL has been configured here and it's in the demo folder. So instead of adding every time the Liquibase path, so what we can do is we can add it to the path. Now I would like to add Liquibase path to a path variable or the path system variable. So we don't want to give the absolute path or the relative path to the Liquibase. So in order to do that, we need to set the property. So this is the path which I'm setting it up, the current installation folder Liquibase 421.1 and remaining path as a path. Now let's check the path. Echo. Visit the path has been added. Now let's type the Liquibase. We should get the help. We are getting the help as we expect. Now let's start the H2 database. For that, Liquibase, I need to give the initialize and then start H2. This would start a H2 database and it opens up in a browser. And this is where we can see the database and we can run the queries. But for now, there are no tables. It has only the DB user and the system information, the schema information, I mean to say. I'm duplicating the tab. Let's check the Liquibase. It is not set. So let's go to our directory. Now let's set the path. Set. Set the path. Let's check it. The path has been set successfully. So let's clear the console. Let's go to the demo folder where our changes are there. Now we need to check Liquibase. And there are a couple of the commands which I would like to show. Let's start with the status. We have set the log level to all, so that's the reason we got so much of log. So I commented out the log level. So now we can see the status more clearly with necessary information. So here it says that it has 3 change sets that needs to be applied to ours. So it identifies it with the file. So how does it know? From the liquibase.properties. In the liquibase.properties, we set demo change log is the change log file. So as part of it has 3 changes. One is a change set 1. As part of the change log SQL file, we have 3 change sets. So that's the reason it gives the 3. So how do we know what information? Let's enable the verbose. And this would give the what are the changes that are pending. So here it says change log 1 and the names, the version and the name. So other.dev is the 3, that is the 3 changes that are pending. That's what it says. So how can we run the changelog file? So we need to use Liquibase update. So when I give the Liquibase update, all 3 changes would be applied. And what happens if I rerun it? If you see it, the earlier run, it says that run needs to be done three change requests and total sets 3. But now when you see it, the runnable ones are 0 because those are already run. So that's the reason it detected it and it is not executing any one of those. So let's check the database for the changes. I'm refreshing the H2 database. Now if you see it, as part of the changelog, we have a person table, company table. So here we have the company table and the person table. As part of the first change, we have the person ID, name, address, city. Let's open the person table, ID, name, address, city. All are there. And as part of the company, ID, name, address, city. Let's open the company table. It has the same. As part of the third change, we have added another column called country to a person table. Let's check that one. In the person table, there is a column called country. So our changes are applied. Along with our changes, there are two tables that were created. One is a change log and another one is change log. The log file doesn't contain much whether it is locked or not. While executing the change log, the database would be locked, soft lock, I mean to say. So that is achieved using the database log. So we don't need to worry about it. But this one, the database change log is very much important because it keeps track of all our changes in a table, whether those are executed or not, what are the labels, what is the type, context, tags, every information will be kept in the database change log. If you see it here, the authors are there, changelog file is there, and the executed, and it has the checksums and the comments. As part of the comment, whatever we have written in it, and the tagging and the Liquibase version and the labels and the deployment ID. So we don't need to worry about the deployment ID. Typically, deployment ID is nothing but whenever we are running it, one command, it will has one deployment. So we run all three in a single command. So that's the reason all are having same ID. In order to see the history, do we need to come to the database? No, it is not required. So that would be our next one. So before we go to the next one, let's check the status. What exactly does it say? I'm rerunning the status with verbose, and here it says it is up to date. So as per our change log, it is up to date. Let's check the history. So we need to use history command, and it gives all our history in a short format. So this is what it is, when it was run, and what is the path, and who is the author, and the change set IDs. And here I would like to roll back the changes. So I don't want to roll back all the changes. I just want to roll back the third change where the country column is added to the person table. So how can I roll back it? So we need to use the Liquibase rollback, and we can give this rollback command. When we give the rollback command, it gives the error saying that it needs at least one parameter. In our case, it's a tag. So right now we have not created tags. So soon we will create it. But for now, we can use another one called rollback count. So the rollback count takes care of how many change sets that we need to go back. Here we have the 3 change sets, and I'm saying go back 1. So it successfully executed. It rolled back the third change, which is SQL3 other dev. Now let's check the history. If we check the history, now we should get only 2 change requests. Yes, we got only 2. And earlier we have 3 change requests. Now we got only 2 are there. Let's check the database. Refresh the database. When I refresh the database, exactly the same. When I check the change log, it has only 2. And when I open the person, it doesn't contain country column because that change has been rolled back. So let's check the status now. And the status says one change yet to be applied. That is as expected. roll back one more change. I'm rolling back one more change, so we'll have only one version. And I would like to show another thing. Now one more has been rolled back, and if we check the history, we have only one change request that has been applied. Now I want to update it. When I'm updating it, I don't want to update all remaining. In our case, I don't want to apply 2 and 3. I want to apply only 2. So how can I do that? So for that, Liquibase update, instead of the update, we are going to use update count as 1. So it's going to apply only one change. So it has applied only one change, and it clearly says that one has already run, one we are currently being run, and one is being taken out. So alter count is 1. So let's check the history. Now we should see the second one is applied. And as we expected, so the departments are different. So it is created two different statuses. So it displayed in two different change requests. So, but I don't want to run the update query, but I want to see what are going to run. So like a dry run. So I will use the update SQL. So it's going to show the queries, the actual queries that are going to apply, but it is not applied. Let's check the history. Still we see 2. But one change is pending. That change is alter. So here is the one. It says change request 3, and this is for the alter, and the additional one is the schema log that it is going to make an entry. So this is a just update script which we are going to set. Here is the locking the database, unlocking the database, and this is for the history tracking purpose, and this is the additional change request that it is going to apply. So now we have the 2. So let's tag the version. So how are you going to do it? So all we need to use the Liquibase tag. We are going to use the Liquibase tag, and we are going to say v2. It has been tagged. Can I see the tag version in the history? In the generic history? No, we can't see the tag. But if you go to the database table, go and run the changelog, and here I can see the tag has been set as v2 as expected. Tag and labels are not much difference. Both serve this similar purpose. Sometimes we need to check whether tag exists or not before we apply the tag. So for that we have tag exists, and we need to give hyphen tag, and here we need to give whatever the version that we want. We already have v3 version, so we got message saying v3 already exists. And if I give v4 does not exist. So this tag exist command will help us to check whether the tag already been applied or not, or in a way whether it is available or not. So let's update the remaining change request. So Liquibase update. So it's going to apply the change version. So it's going to apply the third one as expected. So we have one change request has been executed. Let's check the history. We should see 3 histories. Yes, we have seen 3 histories. Now let's check the rollback. Now let's check the database change log. If we see, we have 3 changes, and among them the second version change is been tagged. So let's roll back using the tag. Liquibase rollback hyphen tag, and we are giving v2. So it's going to roll back up to that point. And in our case, what are the changes that has been rolled back? That is the version 3. So that's why it says in 3 other depth. So if I refresh the table, we see only 2 versions, because the third version has been rolled back. Let's check the next command, which is a document. It's going to give the document or it's going to generate a set of documents or set of HTML pages to view our change history as per the current state. So let's check the current state. As part of the current state, one change request had to be applied. So let's create the document. So the command is dbdoc. It's going to create a dbdoc hit trick. It is expecting a output directory. So let's provide the output directory. And that is in the current directory, I'm going to create a doc folder. So I gave the path and it has successfully executed. Let's open the doc folder. I have opened the doc folder. Here it has created a lot of things, but let's start with index.html. When I open index.html, it has shown just like a Java documentation. It has shown what is the table. So it has the company table under the dev public schema. So it has the current column and what's and its sizes. It has everything, and even the person has all the changes. And if we see it here, there are any pending changes or that kind of information is showing it. Let's go to the authors. So it's going to list out all the authors for now. So the other dev is been created only for the version 3 and your name. It has version 1 and 2. It has its description and the comments. Let's check the change logs. When I click on the change logs, it shows that what are the change logs that are applied. And when I click on the pending changes, so it shows version 3 is pending. So when I click on pending SQL, it gives that what SQL that is pending. When I click on the most recent changes, which is nothing but our history, it shows everything. And along with that, here we have the when it was generated and what is the URL, each and other information, database, Liquibase version, and the changelog file, everything. So this is the document.